Aloha, I'm Brent Chiratori, and this is Ideal Marketing. If you work in advertising or marketing, you know how crazy of an industry we live in. I've worked with dozens of marketing teams over the years, from small startups to global companies, and I've noticed something. The best marketers, the ones who actually get results, unfortunately, they burn out faster than anyone else, and I finally figured out why. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 core problems that destroy marketing teams, the fixes that actually work, and a simple system you can implement starting Monday morning. No meditation apps, no trust falls, no expensive consultants, just practical solutions based on what I've seen work with dozens of teams. And at the end, I'll share the one telling question that tells you instantly if your team is heading for trouble. Let's get into it. Here's what most people don't understand about marketing burnout. It actually isn't really about the workload. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but hear me out. Marketing teams at Google work insane hours. So do teams at small agencies that are barely making ends meet. Some agencies have their people working 70, 80 hours a week. I know I did at one point. But here's the thing. Some of these teams thrive while others completely fall apart. The difference isn't the amount of work. It's actually something much more fundamental. Think about what marketing really is at its core. You wake up every morning knowing that your success depends entirely on other people's opinions. Did the campaign work? So you check the metrics. Did the client like it? Better check their email. Or maybe schedule a call, or maybe just read between the lines. Did it drive sales? You have to ask the sales team, and they'll blame you if numbers are down. Your entire professional worth gets measured by things you can't directly control. It's like being a chef where other people control the temperature of your oven. But the real killer, the thing that makes marketing burnout fundamentally different from every other department is this. Marketers are naturally empathetic. Your job is literally to get inside other people's heads, to understand what makes them tick, what they fear, what they want, what keeps them up at night. You spend all day, every day, thinking about your customers' problems, your audience's needs, your prospects' objections, their emotional triggers, their buying journey, their pain points. You're constantly asking yourself, what would make them click? What would make them care? What would make them buy? And then you go home and what? Turn it off? That's just not happening. You've trained your brain to constantly analyze and respond to other people's emotions. That's just not a skill you can just shut down at 5 p.m. You see a print ad in a magazine and you're analyzing the messaging. You watch a TV commercial and you're critiquing the call to action. Your friend mentions a problem and you're mentally drafting a solution-focused email campaign. It just never ends. So let's start with one of the biggest issues causing burnout: deadlines. Every team deals with deadlines, but there's something uniquely destructive about marketing deadlines. They stack. That campaign due Friday doesn't replace the one due Wednesday. It adds to it. And while you're working on both, someone's asking about the holiday campaign that's 3 months out, and the CEO just had a brilliant idea that needs to happen yesterday. The problem isn't the deadlines themselves. It's that nobody understands the actual time things take. Your sales team thinks a landing page takes an afternoon. Your product team thinks a launch campaign is just some emails and social posts. Leadership thinks everything is just quick updates to existing materials. They don't see the strategy sessions, the creative development, the 15 rounds of revisions, the legal reviews, the technical implementation. Here's how to fix it. First rule, make no commitment without consultation. It sounds simple, but most marketing leaders violate this constantly. Someone asks you for something and you want to be helpful, so you say yes, and then you have to tell your team about another impossible deadline. Stop doing that. When someone asks you for something, your answer is, let me check with the team on realistic timing and get back to you. Every single time. Second, you need to become the translator between your team and everyone else by clarifying expectations. When the sales team says they need something ASAP, you ask, is this more important than the lead generation campaign that's currently driving your pipeline? Make the trade-offs visible. Most people have no idea what marketing is actually working on. They just see their own urgent need. Third, build in buffer time, but don't tell anyone about it. If your team says something will take 2 weeks, plan for 2.5. because something will definitely go wrong. Someone will get sick, the designer's computer will crash, the website will go down during the upload. You don't know what and you don't know when, but something will definitely go wrong. If you plan for perfection, you're planning for failure. Now, let's talk about the need to constantly keep up with new technologies and tactics. There's a new marketing platform every week, a new social media feature every day, a new AI tool every hour. Your team feels like they're constantly behind, constantly learning, constantly failing to keep up. The FOMO is real and it's exhausting. Here's the truth. Most new marketing technology is just old marketing technology with a better UI. The fundamentals haven't changed. You still need to understand your audience, craft compelling messages, and get those messages in front of the right people at the right time. Everything else is just a delivery mechanism. So here's the fix. Stop chasing every shiny new toy. Pick your core stack and stick with it for at least a year. Yes, you might miss out on some incremental improvement, but you'll gain something much more valuable: mastery. A team that deeply understands their tools will outperform a team that's constantly learning new ones. Set aside specific time for exploration, maybe 2 hours every other Friday. The team can research new tools, test new platforms, play with new features, but it's contained. It's not bleeding into every day, every project, every conversation. Also, go analog sometimes. Get your team away from screens. Do your brainstorming on whiteboards, sketch campaigns on paper. There's something about physical creation that unlocks a different type of thinking. Plus, you can't get Slack notifications on a whiteboard. The third killer is ambiguous goals and expectations. The campaign objectives change mid-flight. The success metrics shift after launch. The brief you approved isn't the brief you're being held to. Your team feels like they're playing a game where someone keeps changing the rules. This happens because most companies don't actually know what they want from marketing. Let me say that again, because I know if you're watching this, you feel the exact same way. Most companies don't actually know what they want from marketing. They want growth and brand awareness and customer engagement, but they can't define what any of that actually means. So they keep moving the target, hoping something will feel right. The fix requires discipline from you as the leader. Every project needs a written brief, not a novel, just a one-page document that states what we're doing, why we're doing it, what success looks like, and who has final approval. Get it signed off before any work begins. When someone tries to change direction mid-project, just pull out the brief and say, we can absolutely make that change. Should we just restart the project with new objectives and timeline? You also need to establish clear ownership. The number one source of stress for marketers is having responsibility without authority. They're told to increase leads, but can't control the website. They're told to improve brand perception, but can't influence product quality. They're told to support sales, but can't access customer data. Work with each person to define what they actually own and what they need from others. Then hold everyone accountable to those boundaries. You also should hold regular check-ins. Run a Monday morning priority check, a 15-minute stand-up if you're in person. Every person shares their top priority for the week and any blockers. If priorities have shifted over the weekend, you catch it immediately, not Thursday afternoon when someone asks about that urgent thing they mentioned in passing. The fourth problem is kind of ironic. Marketing teams are terrible at internal communication. They can craft beautiful customer journeys, but can't manage their own information flow. They know everything about their audience personas, but nothing about what their teammates are working on. Part of this is because most marketers are creative, highly independent people. They're deep thinkers, interrupted every 7 minutes. So they retreat into their own projects, their own headphones, their own little silos of productivity. The fix isn't more meetings, it's better communication rhythms. So things like daily stand-ups, but make them actually stand-ups. If people are sitting, they'll talk too long. 15 minutes maximum. Focus only on blockers and dependencies. Not status updates, not brainstorming. Just, I need X from Y to move forward. But also do weekly deep dives, but time boxed to 1 hour. Review what's shipped, what's in progress, what's coming up, make decisions. Kill projects that are dying, celebrate wins, then get out. But here's the crucial part. Secure closure on everything. Don't end a conversation until everyone can repeat back what was decided, what their next step is, and when it's due. If you don't, and something doesn't get done, it's on you. You have no one to blame but yourself. Finally, over-communicate everything important. One of my bosses used to say his job as CMO was to be the chief reminding officer. You have to constantly reinforce the company's goals, the strategy, the plan, and our USPs. People can understand things logically and nod their heads when they hear something, but quite frankly, they have a million other things they care about personally. So you have to stay top of mind. And as marketers, we should know better. Repetition is everything. The fifth problem is always a soul crusher: poor work culture. This manifests in different ways. Sometimes it's the performance over people mentality, where hitting the numbers matters more than human sustainability. Sometimes it's the thankless environment, where great work disappears into the void without acknowledgement. Sometimes it's the purposeless grind, where nobody remembers why any of this matters. Marketing is particularly vulnerable to this because the work is often invisible. Nobody sees the 50 headline variations you wrote. Nobody knows about the campaign you killed because the data showed it wouldn't work. Nobody appreciates the crisis you prevented by catching that typo before it went to print. The fix starts with purpose, not the corporate mission statement, but real purpose. Why does this work matter? Who does it help? What problem does it solve? Every campaign, every project, every task should connect to something meaningful. When your team understands that the email campaign isn't just about open rates, it's about helping customers solve real problems, the work becomes meaningful. Create a culture of recognition, but make it specific. Not "great job, everyone," but Sarah's headline increased conversions by 12%, which means 300 more customers found the solution they needed. Connect work to impact. Make the invisible visible. And normalize rest and recovery. Marketing is sprint work, punctuated by marathons. After a big launch, give people actual time to recover. Not work from home recovery where they're still on Slack, real recovery. A day off, a late start, a long lunch, whatever helps them reset. Look, we spend a third of our lives at work. Your team doesn't need to love every minute, but they should find some meaning, some satisfaction, some reason beyond the paycheck. Help them find it. Maybe it's the creative challenge. Maybe it's the problem solving. Maybe it's the collaboration. Maybe it's the learning. Everyone has something that makes work worth doing. Your job is to help them find and feed it. Now, the diagnostic question I promised. Ask each team member individually, what's the most important thing you're working on right now? If they list more than 2 things, you have a prioritization problem. If they say everything's important, you have a crisis. If they laugh or sigh before answering, you're already in burnout territory. The follow-up is equally telling. What happens if you don't do it? If they can't articulate a clear consequence, it's probably not that important. If the answer is someone will be upset, that's politics. If it's we'll lose customers or revenue will drop or the product won't launch, now those are real priorities. Look, I know what you're thinking. Your situation is different, your company is unique, your challenges are special, and maybe they are. But I've done this long enough to know that 90% of marketing burnout comes from the same 5 sources. Fix these and you'll fix 90% of the problem. Start with one thing. Pick the biggest pain point for your team. Maybe it's the deadline chaos. Maybe it's the moving goalposts. Maybe it's the communication breakdown. Focus there first. Get one thing working better and momentum builds. And remember, the goal isn't to work less, it's to work on what matters. A focused, energized team doing meaningful work will outperform an exhausted team grinding through busy work every single time. Our final thought for the burnt out marketer watching this: before you quit, before you decide marketing isn't for you, try changing how you work, not what you work on. Set boundaries on your time, push back on pointless projects, focus on work that matters. You might find that the job you thought you hated was just a good job trapped in a bad system. If this helped you, check out my other videos on practical, relatable ways to improve your branding and marketing. And subscribe for more real-world marketing advice that actually works. Remember, you don't need to buy more ads when you have better ideas.